Welcome back to Final Fantasy XII for this very eerily silent portion of the Dalmasca Westersands. We explored the whole place last time, even went to the Zertanen Caverns for just a very short time, and we fought some rare game. I have a whole lot of LP that I'm gonna buy. Have I talked to you before? Yeah, we're heading out west. Yeah, the Sandsea is the very, very deep desert that's a lot more treacherous than even the Westersand is, but first thing I want to try here is I'm going to go ahead and sell all that loot that I got earlier, just to see if I get anything new out of it. Yeah, that quality hide came from the rare game, that wolf one, which apparently, it's steal drop. It's only got a 3% chance of it from stealing without Thief's Cuffs. But it can drop a really good dagger, so that's a reason why people often farm that rare game earlier. Don't know where I got this succulent fruit from, but it's pretty, sells for quite a bit. Okay, what's available? Glit Shield. Those new to the art of swordplay. Okay, that means it's probably not the best. Buckler. Yeah, we already had those, I think. And, yeah, let's get this. 2 Phoenix Downs, 2 potions. It'll go some way to replacing some of what we had before. So, as this guy is saying, there are some, groups of creatures who live in the Sandsea who are not exactly, let's just say they don't take kindly to, anything, really. But I'm going to do some licensing for now, because I can grab White World, spelled very weirdly, for Varn there. Remedy Law 3. Well, I guess we need someone who can cure things like Doom and especially disease. Also, since we found some enemies earlier that could inflict sap, who could inflict sleep, I should probably grab that Remedy Law as well. And we can get the Balaclava and Windbreaker now. But I mostly did that because when we have access to the... I think that's actually French, so I'm not going to try and pronounce that. But when we have access to that, that's going to be a very good thing to grab. Now, I believe Bolthea has... Yeah, there's a Swiftness over there. So it might look like we have a lot of LP right now, but... as you can see, things are worth more and more LP in the license board, so... yeah... I think I'll still go for Swiftness, though. But basically, yeah, like, the further you get into the license board, the more expensive things become. And speaking of which, Swiftness, I want that. But now that I have Swiftness, increase magic power and HP is full. That's not bad. Oh, another Channeling is pretty good as well. But if I go into this direction, I can get Cura and Raise. And then eventually I can get Arrow and Sleep, which I already have the abilities for. Pretty cheap in terms of LP, too. And also Poison. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Fran will end up dropping off in terms of stuff eventually. And you know what? I think she actually desperately needs more Gambit slots, so I'll get another one for her. And now Barsh. What should he go for now that I've got that Swiftness? Well, I suppose I can go for some more Spear licenses. First Aid's not really going to be that helpful, but I'm mainly doing that for this, which will then lead into the Dragon Whisker, which I think we can actually get, like, I know that's a bizarre item. I'll get some more of these basic armor licenses because, weirdly, Ash has the best defense out of all of us at this point. Barsh also needs a lot more HP. Maybe he should be going this way to grab these HP licenses and get back on track with Varn, because Barsh is supposed to have the best HP of the party. He's just not showing it because I haven't focused on many of those licenses. Now, why the heck don't you have Inquisitor yet? That's extremely useful. I guess she can also go for Oil, so she can use that combo. Channeling's going to definitely help out. Oh, don't even have enough LP for that. Ether Lore, that's probably decent to have too. And finally, Pinello. I kind of want to, even though we can't buy Haste yet, we can buy Gravity though, which might give Pinello something to do against basic enemies. Ether Lore. See, down here, there's some interesting things, like eventually, Bubble and Siphon. Also, Drain and Reverse. We can't get those yet, but they might be useful going forward. Guess I can take a Magic Lore. Open up a few more license options here. Another Magic Lore. Okay, that should be pretty much it for our LP. And there are some things we can buy from the shop, including Rays, which will probably be useful going forward. Also Gravity. Do I really need Gravity? Like, again, it gives Pinello something to do, especially during Sandstorms, where, as we can see, her crossbow sucks. Also, something that I just found out, Sandstorms actually raise the damage of fire, earth, and I think wind, but they also lower the effectiveness of water. You can buy Balaclava, which is a little better for Varn. And the Windbreaker's a little better for him too. I guess I'll take better heavy armor for Barsh. And with that, we're about ready to leave this eerily silent area. I think I'll control Ash for this segment. There's going to be a lot of enemies that are weak to various elements going forward. Let's begin our first epic quest. Still eerily quiet. We can see that thanks to Libra. Sandsea isn't even metaphorical. And that was from the opening movie.
So, where exactly is Wraithwall's tomb?
Far to the west. We must first cross the Ogir-Yensa, and beyond that, the Nam-Yensa, before we reach the tomb. An expanse of desert larger still than all of Delmasca. We must pace ourselves. If you grow tired, we stop and take rest.
You don't have to worry about me. I'm tougher than I look.
You are at that.
Yeah, this song, as much as I don't really normally like the Star Wars comparisons, also, we don't have a map board for this area. This music is definitely very Star Wars, as is this whole area. This area is very kind of wastelands of Tatooine, the kind of uncivilized parts. And that, okay, weak to wind. I've noticed these things have a tendency to not take a lot of damage from physical attacks. Yeah, wind does quite a lot to them, though. It's mostly because arrow's kind of a later, and I believe my basic attacks with this staff are going to be magic-based. Okay, Balthier's still doing a decent amount with his gun here. Just kind of trying to remember this area. This very kind of industrial-looking sort of desert. I know it was actually kind of a cliche type of area in games at the time, but it was really, I don't know, I just still find this area pretty interesting and actually pretty cool. And yep, there's a map. But what's in this one? Of the Yensa, okay. Well, we're not even in the Yensa yet. But yeah, this area has a lot of these circular platforms. It's quite a decently big place, actually, and has a few different exits, including one that leads back to the caverns. And I think this is about where you're first supposed to get into the caverns. I noticed that thing actually did 0 damage to Ash, so, Ash, like, that mage's habit that I found earlier, it's actually very, very strong as far as, like, armor goes, and it seems like... Oh, that thing's already dead. It seems like Ash actually has the best armor out of anyone in my party right now, which is kind of ironic considering she's supposed to be the squishy mage. As I've said before, physical attack isn't, like, that terrible, so, reminds me a little bit of Lightning in 13, who's a glass cannon mixed attacker. And also somewhat of a decent healer, though not, you know, the best healer in the game. I still like the fact the best healer in 13's party was male. Was like Hope. Who, like, I kind of liked him back in the day, but now I realize that his and Snow's story is almost a carbon copy of Ken and Shinjiro's from Persona 3, and yeah, I just didn't know about Persona 3 at the time. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it's incredibly similar as far as things go. But let's not get too negative. I mean, on that subject though, I do actually really like Snow, like genuinely. I think he's actually quite a good character. It's because like in a party that's full of cynics, he's actually like a rare optimist, and that actually makes it kind of refreshing. Anyway though, again, not to get too negative about other stuff, so something that I could actually talk about here, a few things actually. So now that we're actually controlling Ash like fully for the first time, and we're on her quest to basically prove her birthright as the rightful ruler of Dalmasca, a lot of people consider Ash to be the true protagonist of this game. And in a strict sense, she probably is, but okay, first we have a cutscene.
A construct to draw oil from the ground. Abandoned many years now, it seems.
Did Dalmascans build this?
No, the Rosarians. Their empire lies far to the west, ever at war with Arcadia. Heedless of the kingdoms caught in their midst. Dalmasca, Nabrodia, Landis.
'Tis the small craft's fate to watch the list of the galleons and pray for light winds.
Vossler, why are you here?
Imagine my surprise when upon my return to Bogerba, I find both you and the Lady Ash have vanished. I thought you above consorting with sky pirates.
Balthier is a man worthy of our trust, and it was the Lady Ash's decision. I am content to lend my arm, as I could not when Rassler died, when her throne was taken. Never again. I will defend her this time.
You walked the Knight's path. The Lady Ash?
We should leave this place.
Let me guess. Sandstorm?
Something far worse.
I see. So the Dawn Shard does lie in King Wraithwall's tomb. The Marquis sympathizes with your plight, yet the Empire perches as a carrion bird on his shoulder. He can keep whispers of your abduction silent for only so long.
Yes. Tell me, Vossler, what have you accomplished?
We leave at once. This is Ogir-Yensa territory, and they are unfond of visitors. Looks like we've attracted the wrong sort of attention. Let's quit this place while we still can. Move!
Vossler! Have you found the means to restore Dalmasca?
First, we must claim the Dawn Shard. It all begins with that.
Oh, I actually forgot that he joined as a guest this soon. So I've got a lot more firepower now. And yeah, we have a lot more scenes involving the Lady Ashe and her entourage and that whole situation. Quite a lot to unpack there, also the Rosarians. So basically Dalmasca is caught between two empires. Reminds me a little bit of Valkyria Chronicles. That right there was actually a knockback attack. There's a whole random formula that determines whether attacks cause knockback, and if an attack causes knockback but also kills, then it results in the enemy going flying, which is kind of funny. I don't trust... Yeah, I knew it. Well, it wasn't a lot of damage anyway. She just knew that the allies were going to walk into that, but... Yeah, such is the plight of the NPC, usually. Like, there's no gambits to control their movement, only what they do in combat, which is a little unfortunate. And also, the Ogir-Yensa. So, again, as much as I don't like the Star Wars parallels, oh, here they are, and they're weak to winds. Don't have a lot of health, though. These things are basically Tusken Raiders. I'm almost certain they're based on Tusken Raiders. Which just reminds me of the whole scene in pod racing where they, for some reason, start shooting at random pod racers and then celebrating when they shoot somebody. Don't even know if there's any deeper lore or background around Tusken Raiders in Star Wars, if there are any members of them who are sympathetic or not, but yeah. But speaking of the Ogir-Yensa, so there's a rare game in this area that it's called the Ogir Exile, somebody who was exiled from the Ogir-Yensa clan for being too brutal even by their standards. You need to kill 100 Ogir-Yensa in this area to make them spawn. And they're actually I was about to say decently take-onable at this level, but that's not a real proper word. Oh, was that a... Oh, rejuvenation trap, okay. Unfortunately, there's no real way to tell if a trap's helpful or not until you've actually triggered it, so still not the most useful thing in the world, but... basically, you can take it on at this level, roughly, and... it drops a pretty good katana for this point in the game, so... actually, trying to spawn it now is not a bad idea. But again, 100 Ogir-Yensa. And also, if you manage to get a good chain going... looks like they cast Dark there, but they don't seem to have very high magic, because that didn't do much at all. If you can get a good chain going of Ogir-Yensa, you can get a very good chance at the drop of that thing. Just gotta watch out for the Alra Unes. The levels here are a little low, but they'll probably even out. Oh, great sleep. Oh, wait, no. Bad. Varn attack that, actually, because I just realized that. So, you can attack, your own allies to snap them out of, sleep. Like that. And he'll stop it once she's awake, thankfully. But... I just realized Varn has the instant death dagger, so probably not the best to be doing that with. So that's another thing, sleep and confuse, you should really use, equip your characters if you have the licenses for them. Measures. I don't even think we can buy measures at this point in the game, though. So measures. And that's going to kill my chain, unfortunately. Measures, they do pierce defense, which obviously is a bit of a problem if you've got high defense gear on, but they're very weak, and they have a chance of inflicting positive status ailments, like protect or shell, things like that, by hitting people. So they're great to use for waking people up from sleep or snapping them out of confusion. They can also be a somewhat okay alternative to buff spells if you just want to buff someone and don't have MP. They're obviously not the best used for buffing purposes, though, because they're not entirely reliable in that regard. So where are we at? Oh great, Platform 1 Refinery. So, there's a rare game here that has a random chance of spawning in this area. Windbreaker. Another one. Oh, Varn has that already. Does both... Oh, you both already have Windbreakers. And I don't think anyone else has, like, the licenses for that. In the original, when I played the PS2 version, I remember that I gave Penelo a lot of light armor licenses. Look at them shuffling. Yeah, seems like some of them use magic, the majority of them are just physical attackers. But those like, kind of sand sharks they were riding, sand sharks are a really popular kind of thing, I just realized, because there's some of them in the new Crash Bandicoot game, as well as in, like, you know, Garchomp. But those sand shark type things... Also, by the way, I've actually set Varn's Gambits to going after enemies that are HP critical first, so making him just more of a precision assassin, I guess. Okay, we're all a little damaged, so can't take Vossler out of the party, but Fran, I believe, has Cura, and I think she's the only one who has Cura out of us, so I can use her for a top-up to the party if most people are damaged. Well, that heals a lot, actually. And I can't... Yeah, there we go. Once the names stop going red. I think I'll put Barsh in the party now. Give him a little bit of attention. Although, right now is a good time for Ash to use Arrow to try and take out all three of these things. And Varn levels up. I guess that means I should take Varn out and switch to somebody who is, And why aren't I playing as Ash? Really should be doing that. I don't know why I switched to Varn. Did that, like, happen automatically as a result of the cutscene? I'm not sure. But yeah, these things being built... Like, I was about to ask, I wonder who built these, and then it was answered for me. Okay, so there's a set of things down there. I might try doing like a bit of a loop around this whole area, because those arrows heading down, I think I know where they're going. But yeah, those sand sharks that the Ogir-Yensa are riding, I think they drop something, like a Yensa scale, which is needed for that water gun. No, not water gun, water bullets. I believe Penelo was trying for disable there? And I think I bought Gravity, so I might actually switch her Gambits to going for Gravity. 3+ foes present and then Gravity, that sounds like a decent idea. Speaking of 3+ foes present, although these things will probably be down by the time I get the chance to even try Gravity. Arrow's definitely useful to have at this point. I think in the original game, you could only get Arrow at the neck, like once you got to the end of the Sandseas. Because yes, there's a second Sandsea, and oh no, those are frogs, not other stuff. Who's attacking those things? I know Penelo and Vossler are, but oh right, spear tongues. Yeah, we saw those back in the caverns. Unfortunately, nobody here has a Libra. I probably should equip a Libra accessory on someone, like maybe Barsh right now, just so I have that. And I have anti-silence on Penelo and weak to fire. Okay then, let's try, let's see how much her fire does. The really low amount of MP this cost means it's really quite... Yeah, okay, those guys have a lot of health. I almost wonder if, don't know if they're resistant to wind or anything, but I can try and... I'll go for this one and see if I can lure the other one into range. Arrow seems to do about 700, so even with the weakness, basic fire is actually doing less. Good AoE damage and just good solid damage in general. Hi there. Dan Barnia. Sounds like somebody's name. Dan Barnia. You know, I should probably try and steal from this thing first, because it might actually drop something good. Didn't drop anything at all there. Thank you for the cure. Tuft of Phoenix down. Oh, hi there. I thought there was like another enemy over there, and then, well, there was this thing. Well, we got disable on it, and then it just straight up died. I don't think, like, the item I believe that I need is called the Yensa Scale. So I need to look for... I don't think it's those things that drop it. And I believe this is going to go back into the caverns. I think in my first playthrough, this was where I first discovered the caverns. Oh, yeah, this area. The, Balamka Fault. I remember these sinkholes. So we can't pass these, but you have to find boulders to push into the sinkholes to block them. So, you know, basically Pokemon strength puzzles. Hi there. No, if you're weak to Earth, you're clearly wind-based, so... I'm gonna try removing Ash, who I can't remove because an enemy is targeting her. I mean, I suppose these things are taking solid... Oh, and they can slow you just by hitting you, which makes sense if they're made of slime. It reminds me of Goomy in Pokemon and that gooey ability, which I had a lot of fun with against Mega Kangaskhan's. Oh. Well, looks like they're immune to disable, so, like, unfortunately, you can't, like, select any gambits to tell them not to do certain things if they're, facing enemies that are immune to status. Like, there are things like fire vulnerable and like lightning vulnerable, but there's no like disable vulnerable or slow vulnerable. Okay, that'll lead back to Invitation to Heresy. What's interesting is that actually going through the caverns is a valid way to get to your next destination at this point. Because they do have an opening that leads to the Ogir-Yensa Sandsea, which is the next Sandsea we need to go through. So if for any reason you don't particularly feel like trekking through the this Sandsea, if you're growing tired of, you know, rust and sand, then you can head through the caverns. They're more dangerous, so it's probably not recommended for newer players, but it's another option you have for getting to where you need to go next. Just make sure that you don't go through pretty much the exact center of the Xertanen caverns, because if you go there, from what I remember, and I might actually swap Ash out for Fran now at this point, but from what I remember, it's an area where a lot of undead spawn, and... Fran's actually going to be dark there. A lot of undead spawn, and your minimap goes fuzzy. I definitely remember the minimap goes fuzzy, so if you're in that room, you might want to leave, because that boss is like high 30s in terms of level. So not the strongest super boss in the game, but still decent. Even though these enemies are... Actually, they're not actually that good. It's getting a bit confusing here, because now I can't tell my dark apart from their dark. Also, dark is definitely showing its age a little. It's not quite as one-shotty, that's a word, as it used to be. I'm just making up words all over the place today. I don't know if killing 100 Ogir-Yensa has to be, like, in the same, like, visit to the area, or just in general. Oh, well, you're immune to disable. It makes sense that a lot of things are immune to disable, though, because it, well, pretty much disables them. Seeing Immobilize in there, though, like, Immobilize is just such a bad ability. It reminds me a lot of the Raw skill from Path of Radiance, in that it stops the enemy from moving, but it doesn't stop them from attacking, and then there's, you know, something very similar in Xenoblade Chronicles, the first one. Immobilize, I think. Melia has an ability that inflicts that. It's just really not the most useful thing in the world. So, chain level ups. There's actually a really, like, I didn't realize this before, but chain level ups are like, there are ways to manipulate when you get it. It's not a fixed number they happen at. In fact, the chain level ups are actually more likely to occur if you don't pick up the loot drops. If you don't pick up loot drops, you'll sometimes see the number flashing, and that means there's a high chance of a chain level up next time, and, you know, if the chain level's up, you get better loot drops, so it's a bit of a trade-off. I personally just like picking up the loot drops, but it's always an option if you want to, you know... Man is just darking everything. You know, she's being like a... I'm sorry, but like your average My Little Pony fanfiction writer, or Pokemon fanfiction writer. Not that all, it's not quite all Pokemon fanfics are super dark and edgy. In fact, I honestly think they're probably in the minority, but... Certainly for that other fandom, people just love edgifying a kid's show. It's just, I've always liked, I kind of felt like, psychologically, the reason why people do that is that deep down they must feel insecure for liking a kid's show, and I think that's our hunt target, isn't it? Yep, that's the Wyvern. That's our hunt target. I completely forgot that it was in this Sandsea. I guess I can actually take that thing on. If it's weak to water, then I might want to put Ash in the party. Penelo can be a debuffer, and then Bolthea, who I will definitely need. And I obviously want ranged attackers or magic users, since this thing is flying. And so... Oh, it's aggroing. It's aggroing. Okay, so that means I need to switch over to... unfortunately, Ash is still slow, which we can probably cure, but I want to try and see how much damage Aqua does. Yeah, in the original version of the game, you would not have Aqua this early. Wow, Ash is OP. Oh, okay. Or, that wasn't our hunt target. I'm an idiot. Scream from the sky. Yeah, it's in the Nam-Yensa Sandsea, of course it is. And it's a Wyvern Lord, not a Wyvern Rider, I suppose. Had a feeling there'd be a chest over here. A Warhammer, which I don't think I have any licenses for because I don't have, like, Foebreaker or something. Speaking of which, apparently Ulan is considered not a great class, and spears in general are not considered that great, except, I guess, the Zodiac Spear. I appreciate that succulent fruit. They sell for a lot. Because I was thinking that Foebreaker would be considered one of the worst in the game, but apparently Foebreaker has good access to... Oh, look, it's a decent katana that we can't use because nobody's a Bushi. Like, it has access to a decent weapon that's available quite early and is very good. Like, one of its strongest weapons, I think, can be obtained very early. Yeah, you know what? I need to have Penelo not use slow here. It's just a waste against anything that's not dangerous. And there's no sandstorm, so I don't need to worry about issues with her crossbow accuracy. I've been finding more things to talk about in this part than I thought I would, honestly. More of those Yensa. I always remember the name Ogir-Yensa. It just kind of rolls off the tongue well. And surprisingly, he did not set off the trap. Also, yeah, I thought there'd be a chest somewhere. Reflect! Did we have that before or not? If we didn't have that before, then that's pretty impressive. Kind of wish Barsh had some kind of AoE attack. He actually did get Traveler recently, I think. But I don't think I have, like, I bought, like, the actual Traveler skill. I'm gonna try and individually weaken them so that, because Dark will finish off the weakened ones. So lowering all of their HP, nice double attack there, Vossler. Lowering all their HP, like, one by one, so that Dark will then finish them off, might be a good tactic. So I was actually gonna, like, on the subject of, like, Star Wars references, I'm gonna do the same thing here, I think. On the subject of Star Wars references, the, you know, whole sand people pod racing thing, it makes me think about how... So there was a game that, I think it got re-released semi-recently, and there's even a Switch version now, but there was a game that I never played when I was younger, but that I did go to a friend's place and watch them play. Well, actually, no, I did play it a little bit at said friend's place, but I never owned the game, called Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. I think it was on N64 as well, but I was more familiar with the PC version. Because back then, I don't think I owned any home consoles that would have been on, like was it on the PlayStation? I'm not sure. I know there was a sequel called Star Wars Racer's Revenge that was on PS2 that older Anakin was playable in. It was like Anakin comes back to get revenge on Sebulba or something, or no, I think it's Sebulba wants to get revenge on Anakin. I don't even know if it's like fully canon anymore. It's part of the non-canon Legends continuity, but... Anyway, we're talking about the original Racer here, and I think a lot of people did grow up with that game, because I think the N64 version is probably one of the most popular versions, but I mostly knew it from the PC version, because the reason why I never owned it, despite the fact that I played it at a friend's place, was because it was one of those PC games that required a joystick. You could not play it with a keyboard, from what I remember, so... Yeah, I just... that was annoying. I remember, like, I once actually had, like, a Star Wars game. It was some kind of Millennium Falcon simulator, and I tried to start it, and I started it up, and then it goes through, like, the opening cutscenes, and I was ready to actually play the game, and then it says, please connect joystick. Because a lot of... hi there. No mages allowed in this party right now. Yes, Mr. Entity, we are very much non-mages. You do not need to hurt us. Just let us go about our business here. We're just a bunch of people with very large weapons. A mud... what? Is that a weapon or something? Oh, musk stick, not like mud. I thought it was like mud stick. There is like a mud, a weapon called mud something that's a gun that deals, earth damage. And it has a pretty funny description too. Well, not a gun, of bullets, ammo that deals earth damage. That, I believe, was the first entity that I ever experienced in my first playthrough of this game. See, you can kill the things that it's buffing all you want, but, and it won't attack you, but the moment you start casting magic, that's when that thing goes bananas, as they say. But yeah, that was my first encounter with one of those things, but anyway, back to my story. Well, that's pretty much all I wanted to say about the story. I always wanted to play that game, but I didn't have a joystick for my computer, and to be honest, I probably just didn't play enough games that would required a joystick to really justify owning one, so in hindsight, I'm glad that I didn't get a joystick, just for the sake of that game. And it is available on Switch now, and it's sadly probably the closest thing that we'll get these days to a new F-Zero game. I remember that, I think it was Racer's Revenge, not the original, that had something called... that had a track called, there was a track called The Nightlands, and then one called The Brightlands. And the Nightlands you could barely see anything of on the TV that I was on, and then the Brightlands was just where everything was, you know, blindingly bright, and was still actually decently easy to see, though. Gotta remember that I had no healer in this party. Gonna get a lot of good loot to sell, though, from these guys. A lot of earth stuff, and well, Vossler took a big hit from that one. Also, he's level 20 now. Yeah. So now that we have Vossler with us, it might not be a terrible idea if you haven't, like, if you, for example, haven't done the Cluckatrice hunt by now, or the what's it called, the Rock Toys. Might actually be a decent idea to go back and do those with Vossler with you. You know the thing about guests, they are generally temporary. Oh, if I turn Barsh's Gambits on, he probably should high potion himself. know his HP isn't... Oh, no, that's self-status HP critical high potion. That's what I have him set on. I have a lot of high potions. I must have got those from just random chests or something, or from... I don't even know where I got those from. It must have been some kind of a chain, I think, but... I have a ton of them now, so I can afford to set some high potion-related gambits. I even have Barsh's gambit set to, Of course, we're not great at fighting multiple enemies now that we, aren't using our, magic users. I can probably put my magic users back in the party at this point, but... I just want to be safe because I don't like the idea of that entity aggroing on to us. I almost wonder if I even could get the 100 chain, but I don't really want to spend ages on that. Linen Curious, can anyone use that? Oh, he already has one. I always hate it when you buy something and then you find it in a chest in the next area. Alright, there's still a fair amount of this area that we haven't explored yet, even though most of it's not really super interesting. It's just a bunch of these refineries. But I suppose while we're on the subject of walking around this area just exploring, I could actually mention something. So, haven't said this before, but it was pointed out to me in comments that the person who did the soundtrack for this game also did Valkyria Chronicles, and to be honest, I am not surprised. Like, if you listen to songs like the Dalmasca Easter Sand, even Rabanasta, many of the songs, or especially like the Mines themes, like some of the dungeon songs, they all sound very similar to Valkyria Chronicles tracks. It's very much in that kind of style. So, I can understand it, but yeah, and I think he did some other stuff too that I know of, but mostly, yeah, Valkyria Chronicles. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I ended up playing. Okay, I guess while on the subject of sort of tangents, I don't know if I will ever play Valkyria Chronicles on this channel, because, like, on the one hand, it seems to be right up my alley. It's a turn-based strategy game. I really like those games. But the main thing is, for some reason, Valkyria Chronicles brings out my inner salt demon. I get so angry. Like, we're talking Ryoma chapter levels of angry when my attacks miss in Valkyria Chronicles, especially early in the game when your guns just have terrible accuracy. Okay, where are we? Okay, yeah, we're just in Canopy of Clay. That's a cool name, but just here. Let's just bash this one slime and get out. I don't really want to do too much exploring in this area at the moment. Oh yeah, Balthier is really bad against Flans. Flans, however you want to say it. Slimes in this case. Oh hey, they can divide, just like the slimes in Secret of Mana, which is another Square Enix game. Okay, down it goes. Barsh is leveled up now, so I guess I can swap in somebody else. Everyone else I can swap in is unfortunately a magic user, so that's gonna... But I mean, we're really far away from the elemental now. What I was saying about Valkyria Chronicles, yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, I usually, unless it's like a 1% critical, I usually don't get that angry with Fire Emblem. I mean, well, you know, the Ryoma chapter. I was playing blind. I think I was kind of having a hard time with just life in general at the time I recorded the Ryoma chapter, and yeah, that was a... Some people liked how angry I got there. I really didn't. I was not proud of the way I acted in that video, and I just really, yeah, don't like it very much at all. But enough about that. I think it's more that, like, in, say, like, Fire Emblem, it's like pure maths, whether you, like, hit or miss attacks. So it's just RNG. But in Valkyria Chronicles, you have to physically aim your attacks. So when you miss, it feels so much more unfair, and like shots can just randomly fly wild in Valkyria Chronicles. You can be pointing your gun right at the enemy's head, and still the shot can end up randomly missing, or the worst part is when the enemy randomly ducks. I hate that so much. Like, you do not want to see how angry I get when enemies just randomly duck. For enemy aces, I guess it makes sense, because they're supposed to be hard to hit, but for regular enemies, in particular, like, that one, like, mission you get in, as DLC for, where you get to play as Sylvaria in her Valkyria form, that's supposed to be a stress relief mission. It's supposed to be extremely easy, but first time I played that game, I had a really, really hard time with that mission, because enemies kept ducking her ultimate beams of death. Like, I would just attack the enemies and I would just miss. Just due to pure luck. It was extremely aggravating. So in general, it's hard to say exactly why, but Valkyria Chronicles just makes me really angry, and I just worry about that ever happening if I were to play one of those games. I still like the games, and later on, like, you get much better, like, much more accurate, like, guns with much smaller targeting windows. Lancers still kind of suck. I do wish they buffed Lancers in those games, because their accuracy is horrendous, and like, it is a bit stupid how late-game shock troopers are actually better anti-tank than Lancers are, because either you're quite, like, easily able to run behind the tank and unload a barrage of lead into its radiator. Let's stay away from that. Yeah, I didn't realize there'd be another one of those entities here. Or you can just use, like, the ignore armor order and then just obliterate them that way. But, like machine gunners should not be your main source of anti-tank damage in the late game. That just makes no sense. So, I wish Lancers did get buffed somewhat to, you know, just, they don't need to be that inaccurate. Like, I don't know, make them inaccurate against infantry, but not against tanks. Or something. I'm not really sure how you do it, but I just wish Lancers were better. But I've been recording for quite a while here, so I might actually end up calling this part. Still got a few areas left to explore here. I mean, there's probably not, like, a ton interesting over there, but I want to fill out the whole map. So, it's going to be kind of awkward calling things, like, in the middle of an area, but I think I'll do that here, and then I'll see you next time as we complete this area and then head out to the Ogir-Yensa Sandsea, which, if I remember right, is much smaller.